When most people hear Wild West, they picture dusty saloons in Arizona, cowboys on horseback in Texas, or gold mines in California. But the true story of the Wild West stretches much farther and colder than the stereotypical American Southwest. The northern frontier, from Montana's mining camps to the frostbitten reaches of the Yukon, had its own lawless towns. Colourful characters and chaotic booms that echoed the same Wild West energy. In this episode, we are journeying into the overlooked northern territories of the Old West, where miners trudged through snow for fortune. Outlaws sought refuge beyond the reach of sheriffs, and saloons warmed up entire towns during 20-hour winter nights. You will meet whiskey smugglers, gold-hungry dreamers, and ghost towns still whispering stories of fortunes made and lost. If you're curious about lesser-known history, offbeat travel destinations, and stories that bring the past to life, don't forget to hit that subscribe button. We explore the world one historical rabbit hole at a time. Bannack, Montana, where lawlessness was the law. Our journey begins in Bannack, a now abandoned town, nestled in the southwestern corner of Montana. Founded in 1862 after the discovery of gold in Grasshopper Creek, Bannack was the site of Montana's first major gold rush. Within just a few months, over 3,000 hopefuls flooded the gulch, turning it into a hub of makeshift cabins, saloons, and sudden wealth. But Bannack was far from peaceful. It earned its reputation as one of the wildest towns in the West, largely thanks to one man, Henry Plummer, the town's sheriff and allegedly the leader of a ruthless outlaw gang. Plummer, by all appearances, was a polished and respectable man. But rumours swirled that he orchestrated a series of stagecoach robberies and murders, using his badge as cover. After a string of brutal crimes, the locals had enough. In 1864, a group of vigilantes hanged Plummer and two of his deputies without trial. Today, Bannack is a remarkably well-preserved ghost town. Over 60 original structures still stand, from the two-story hotel to the gallows that once ended Plummer's reign. You can walk the creaky wooden boardwalks and peek inside buildings frozen in time. Entry is $8 for adults and free for children under 5. Visit in late summer or early fall for the best weather and fewer mosquitoes. Pro tip, pair your visit with a stop at nearby Dillon for local eats and craft beer. Have you ever visited a ghost town? Drop your favourite in the comments below. Skagway, Alaska. Gold fever at the edge of the earth. If Bannack was wild, Skagway was feral. Located in a narrow glacial valley along Alaska's Inside Passage, Skagway exploded into existence during the Klondike Gold Rush of 1897. Tens of thousands of stampeders passed through this rough-and-tumble port on their way to the Yukon's icy riches. The population ballooned to over 10,000 practically overnight, with lawlessness following closely behind. At the centre of Skagway's mayhem was Jefferson Soapy Smith, a conman extraordinaire who ruled the town with charm and a pistol. He ran fake telegraph offices, fixed gambling halls, and maintained a private militia of henchmen. Soapy called himself the uncrowned King of Skagway, until he was gunned down in a dramatic shootout on the Juneau Wharf in 1898. Today, Skagway is a popular cruise ship port with about 1,200 year-round residents. But remnants of its past are everywhere, from the Gold Rush-era boardwalks to the Red Onion Saloon, formerly a brothel, now a restaurant and museum, and restored false-front buildings that still house modern-day businesses. You can walk the historic district for free, but the best way to experience the town is with a local guide. Tours average between $30 to $50 and offer incredible storytelling about Soapy Smith, brothel politics, and Klondike legends. Also consider the White Pass and Yukon Route Railway, a breathtaking ride that retraces part of the Gold Rush Trail through towering mountains and sheer cliffs. Dawson City, Yukon, gold dust and frozen dreams. Just over the border in Canada's Yukon Territory lies Dawson City, the epicenter of the Klondike Gold Rush, and a living relic of northern frontier life. By 1898, Dawson had grown from a remote trading post to the largest city north of Seattle and west of Winnipeg. Over 40,000 people braved months-long journeys to get here. often carrying a ton of supplies through treacherous passes and frigid waters. The promise? Gold. The reality? Cold, chaos, and heartbreak. Dawson was a city of contrast. There were theatres with champagne service and ice palaces lit by gaslight, but also slums of tents and violence. The gold lay deep in permafrost, and only those with stamina or luck could extract it. What makes Dawson so compelling today is how much of its 19th century character still survives. The town has strict preservation laws that maintain its wooden boardwalks, false front facades, and tin-roofed houses. You can tour the Palace Grand Theatre, visit the reconstructed cabin of poet Robert Service, or even meet residents who still pan for gold. Visit between June and early September when the roads are clear and most attractions are open. Flights from Whitehorse take about 1.5 hours. You can also drive the scenic Klondike Highway. While you are in Dawson, try the infamous Salto cocktail if you dare. It's a shot of whiskey served with an actual human toe. Have you heard of Dawson before this? Tell us in the comments how far you'd go for gold. Deadwood, South Dakota, the town that refused to die. While not technically in the far north, Deadwood earns its place on our list for its frontier legacy and surprising preservation. In the late 1870s, Deadwood was a lawless boomtown at the edge of the Dakota Territory, built on sacred Lakota land and fueled by gold from the nearby Black Hills. It attracted gamblers, miners, brothel owners and outlaws, including some legendary names, like Wild Bill Hickok, who was shot in the back while playing poker in a Deadwood saloon. Holding the now famous Dead Man's Hand Aces and Eights, Calamity Jane, another Old West legend, later requested to be buried beside him. Deadwood burned, flooded, and went broke more than once, but it never disappeared. Today it's a National Historic Landmark, with restored saloons, brick-paved streets, and a vibrant downtown that blends history with entertainment. Yes, it's a bit kitschy in places, but if you dig deeper, the past comes vividly to life. Deadwood has legal gambling halls, daily reenactments, and excellent museums like the Adams Museum and Days of 76 Museum. Stay in the historic Bullock Hotel. It is reputedly haunted by the town's first sheriff. Fun fact, HBO's gritty Deadwood series drew directly from this town's real past, minus a few colourful enhancements. Share this video with a friend who loves Old West legends. They will thank you later. Fort Benton, Montana, the birthplace of the West. Let's close with a quieter but no less historic place. Fort Benton, Montana, often called the birthplace of the American West. Long before railroads connected the coasts, Fort Benton was the last navigable stop on the Missouri River. Steamboats docked here in the mid-1800s, offloading goods that would supply mining camps, ranches, and military forts across the northern frontier. Unlike the gold boom towns, Fort Benton's story is one of slow, strategic growth. It was a trading post, a military supply hub, and later a ranching centre. Lewis and Clark passed nearby, and Blackfeet tribes traded here long before settlers arrived. Today, Fort Benton is a peaceful river town with a population under 1,500, but it has 5 museums packed with frontier history. The Museum of the Northern Great Plains is especially impressive, chronicling the agricultural innovations that followed the Wild West era. While you are visiting Fort Benton, you can also take a scenic canoe trip down the Upper Missouri River Breaks National Monument, where the land still looks much as it did 2 centuries ago. Best time to visit Fort Benton is late spring or early fall. Montana summers can be sweltering, and the Montana winters can be brutally cold. Which of these northern Wild West towns surprised you most? Let us know in the comments. We would love to hear your opinion. The frozen frontier lives on. The Wild West wasn't just dust and deserts. In the north, it was snow, steamships, and stories frozen in time. From the treacherous trails to the shadowy saloons. These towns remind us that history is not always where we expect it to be. It is in the corners, the cold places. The towns that hung on long after the rush ended. Whether you're a traveller planning your next road trip, a history buff chasing forgotten tales, or just someone who loves peeling back the layers of time, There's always more to explore in the rugged north. If you enjoyed this journey, consider sharing it with a friend who loves stories that stick with you long after the screen goes dark. It helps the channel grow and keeps the storytelling going. Until next time, stay curious and keep wondering.